following is a feature presentation of the Replay Sports Channel, the home for great games. This telecast is copyrighted by the WFL for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the WFL's consent is prohibited.
Imagine you're an 8-3 heavyweight football team.
Right, sitting at the top of the world.
Exactly. You know, you're riding this massive 5-game win streak. The playoffs are completely in sight, and you are stepping onto the field to face a 2-9 bottom feeder.
You're expecting a tune-up game.
Right, a total formality. You definitely don't expect that bottom feeder to just, completely dictate the physical terms of the game and snap your streak.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, that shouldn't happen. But if you were paying attention to the WFL this week, you saw the script wasn't just flipped. It was absolutely torn to shreds.
He really was.
So it's Tuesday, May 19th, 2026, and welcome to this deep dive. We're looking at a giant stack of WFL 25 Week 13 game reviews, advanced stats, playoff standings, and our mission today is just extract the vital signals from what was a completely chaotic week.
It really was a week that just defied conventional logic. Like, at this point in the season, just checking the standings isn't enough for an informed fan.
Oh, for sure.
We all know who is supposedly elite and who is supposedly rebuilding, right? But what we need to understand now, especially as we head into this final stretch, is why the mighties are suddenly falling and, well, what these upsets reveal about the underlying mechanics of these teams.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I am approaching this stack of sources like someone who just witnessed the wildest sports movie imaginable. And I just have to figure out how the underdogs pulled off the heist.
Yeah, there's a lot to dig into.
We are talking massive holiday earthquakes, sub-zero survival tests, heavyweight clashes, and even coaches literally having to be separated on the field.
The drama was high.
So high. To even begin to understand the chaos, we have to start with the Thanksgiving shockers that just upended all the betting lines.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the 2-9 Detroit Wheels facing the 8-3 St. Louis Battlehawks.
Huge mismatch on paper.
Right. Detroit is a 12-point underdog, and they walk away with a 26-20 victory.
Which, forces us to look at how they did it rather than just staring at the final score. Detroit neutralized the St. Louis pass rush, not by blocking better, but by exhausting them. I mean, you look at rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels, who actually earned MVP honors.
Yeah, his stat line, it might not look super explosive at first glance, right? Only 171 passing yards?
Exactly. But he added 93 rushing yards.
Wow.
And when a quarterback is consistently extending drives with his legs, the opposing defensive ends, they're forced to contain. They can't just, pin their ears back and rush the passer.
Right, they have to play hesitant.
It completely defangs a defense. Detroit ended up holding the ball for nearly 38 minutes and limited St. Louis to an astonishingly low 8 rushing attempts the entire game.
8 attempts, that is insane.
Yeah. And then Justin Tucker, the veteran kicker, he seals it by hitting these clutch 49 and 44-yard field goals in the fourth quarter.
Man, it's honestly like the classic frozen pond scenario, If you're a top-tier team, the ice looks totally solid. You're strutting across it. And then suddenly, a 2-9 team finds the 1 weak spot and makes you fall right through into the freezing water.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
And we saw the exact same dynamic play out in New York. The 3-8 Generals shocked the 7-4 Philadelphia Stars, 23-14.
Another huge one.
Bryce Young comes up with this late-game heroics package, highlighted by an absolutely perfect 56-yard knockout strike to Khalil Shakir right down the sideline with 47 seconds left.
Incredible throw.
It really was. But if you're watching the Philadelphia side of the ball, there was this glaring, flashing red light in the stats. Drake May, their quarterback, he rushed for 113 yards.
Right.
And on paper or, in fantasy football, that looks great. But in reality, when a quarterback is running for over 100 yards, it usually means the passing game is structurally broken, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a massive indicator of a collapsing pocket. May had a 52-yard scramble in there, but outside of his individual athletic effort, the offensive scheme just failed.
Yeah.
0 passing touchdowns, 3 sacks, and not a single pass play longer than 19 yards.
Oof.
I mean, when your quarterback is your leading rusher by that wide of a margin, it usually means receivers just aren't separating or the offensive line isn't holding up.
Right, it's a breakdown.
Exactly. Philadelphia failed to convert situations, going 3 of 11 on third down. They couldn't sustain drives, while New York just executed flawlessly when they got into the red zone.
And then there's the third earthquake, which was maybe the loudest one of the holiday weekend. The Memphis Express, sitting at 4-7, just steamrolling the 8-3 Birmingham Americans, 37-20.
Just a dominant showing.
Lamar Jackson puts up a dazzling MVP performance, like 358 yards, 4 touchdowns, passing the 3,000-yard mark for the season.
He was untouchable.
And what's crazy is Birmingham actually went up 14-7 early after Bo Nix threw a 56-yard bomb to Jamar Chase.
Right. It looked like they were going to run away with it.
But then Birmingham just faded into the background. So I kind of want to push back on the overarching narrative here.
Okay, let's hear it.
My theory is that these underdogs, Detroit, New York, Memphis, they aren't like magically figuring out how to be elite teams in week 13. I think they're just playing with a level of pure desperation that top-tier teams who are looking ahead to the playoffs just aren't matching.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's actually less about desperation and entirely about data.
Really? How so?
Late season tape gives underdogs a massive structural advantage. By week 13, there are no secrets left in professional football.
Okay, that's fair.
An underdog team with nothing to lose, they know exactly what a heavy favorite wants to do on, say, 3rd and long. They know your tendencies, your favorite formations, your bliss packages.
So they basically memorize the playbook.
Exactly. And we saw this perfectly with Memphis. Birmingham was relying on their standard aggressive defensive identity, but Lamar Jackson used 13 weeks of tape to map those blitzes. When a defense blitzes, they are abandoning a zone in the secondary. Jackson knew exactly which zones Birmingham was vacating before the snap, and he just shredded them by spreading the ball quickly to Josh Downs and Alec Pierce.
That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, the favorites were playing their standard game, but the underdogs were essentially reading their mail before it arrived.
That is a fascinating way to look at it. The element of surprise shifts to the team that is just willing to exploit the tape.
Precisely.
But, that tape advantage is one thing when it's an underdog swinging freely with nothing to lose. I'm curious what happens to those data advantages when two absolute powerhouses clash.
Right, a whole different scenario. Yeah.
Like when both teams have championship aspirations, elite coaching staffs, and there's absolutely no element of surprise left on either side.
Well, that becomes the true test of a team's ceiling. When elite talent faces off and the stakes are that high, the margin for error essentially just evaporates. The game is no longer about tricking the opponent. It's about execution under duress, because mistakes are brutally and instantly punished.
Which brings us perfectly to the West Division heavyweights.
Yeah.
You have the San Diego Fleet, 8-3, hosting the Las Vegas Outlaws, also 8-3.
A huge matchup.
San Diego pulls out a 35-28 win in an absolute thriller. Josh Allen earns MVP honors with 273 yards and 3 touchdowns. But the sequence that really stood out was right before the half.
Oh, yeah.
Allen engineers a 4-play, 82-yard drive in 25 seconds. I mean, if you're a defense, how do you even allow a team to move 82 yards in 25 seconds without a total systemic breakdown?
It requires a quarterback who can process information faster than the defense can substitute or even communicate.
Right.
Allen recognized Las Vegas dropping into this soft coverage to protect the end zone, and he just ruthlessly exploited the seams along the sidelines to stop the clock.
He's just so surgical.
He is. But look at the flip side of that game. Jalen Hurts battled really hard for Las Vegas, but he threw 2 costly interceptions.
Yeah, including that one where Marlon Humphrey jumped a route and took it 44 yards to the house for a pick 6.
Exactly.
And we saw a strikingly similar dynamic in the Denver Gold versus Arizona Rattlers matchup. An overtime thriller where Denver wins 26-23.
Right.
You have Denver's Brock Bowers just playing out of his mind, earning MVP with 8 catches for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. Geno Smith showed incredible poise for Denver, too, particularly orchestrating this 14-play, 89-yard drive in the fourth quarter.
Just a really methodical drive.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Aaron Rodgers throws for 283 yards for Arizona, but he commits 2 fatal interceptions, including the game ender under heavy blitz pressure in overtime.
Right.
But here's where it gets really interesting, though. If you were just a casual fan checking the box scores for those 2 heavyweight fights, you would swear the losing teams actually won.
Oh, for sure.
Las Vegas dominated the time of possession against San Diego.
Yeah.
They controlled the ball for over 36 minutes and racked up 155 rushing yards. And Arizona outgained Denver 394 to 301 and had more first downs. How do you dominate the clock, dominate the yardage, and still walk away with a loss?
Well, what's fascinating here is a concept we can call the turnover tax.
Turnover tax, okay.
Right. Time of possession and total yardage are accumulative stats. They tell you who is generally moving the ball. But a turnover is an event stat, and its impact on expected points is just massive.
Right, it's instantaneous.
Exactly. When you are playing against elite quarterbacks, guys like Josh Allen or Geno Smith who play with maximum poise, a turnover isn't just a lost possession. It is an immediate fatal momentum swing.
Wow.
Against an average team, you might overcome throwing an interception, but against elite competition, turning the ball over is a tax you simply cannot afford to pay. It completely invalidates your time of possession.
Right, because the points are already on the board.
Exactly. If you hold the ball for an 8-minute grueling drive and then throw a pick six, all that clock control means absolutely nothing. It is a critical reminder that traditional metrics can be highly misleading in high-stakes games where field position and sudden point swings dictate the outcome.
So you're saying time of possession is basically just a vanity metric if your quarterback makes a fatal error in the red zone.
Pretty much, yeah.
That makes perfect sense. In those heavyweight fights, the outcomes were decided by elite quarterback play, capitalizing on the tiniest internal mistakes. But, not every game this week was decided by a brilliant read of a defense.
No, definitely not.
Some games were completely hijacked by external adversity. Brutal, sub-zero weather, and boiling human emotions.
Yeah, extreme cold force is a completely different style of football. It strips away all those complex, high-flying passing schemes and just reduces the sport to its primal roots.
It's all about survival at that point.
It really is. It becomes a pure war of attrition that reveals a team's true physical character.
Let's talk about the biomechanics of that, because the Cleveland Gladiators taking on the Pittsburgh Maulers was honestly hard to watch.
Oh, look miserable.
It was -2 degrees at kickoff, no wind to even soften the cold, just a frozen block of a football field. And Cleveland grinds out a 24-10 win.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold plays this hyper-efficient MVP game, a 134.4 rating, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He basically just commanded long, methodical, physical drives.
Which is exactly what you need in that weather.
Right. But on the other side, Patrick Mahomes really struggled. 2 interceptions, 4 sacks, and he just could not get that explosive Pittsburgh offense going.
No, they were totally stalled.
And the frustration was so visible. We even saw Cleveland's Will Anderson Jr. ejected during a heated physical sequence. So why does a generational talent like Mahomes suddenly look mortal just because the temperature drops?
It really comes down to the physics of the equipment and, well, the human body. At -2 degrees, a football feels like a frozen piece of rock.
I can't even imagine.
Right. The leather gets slick, the air pressure condenses so the ball doesn't spiral as tightly, and receivers' hands lose that macro-level dexterity needed to catch a fast pass.
That makes catching a bullet pass nearly impossible.
Exactly. Mahomes was trying to force those explosive chunk plays that the Pittsburgh offense relies on. But in that weather, the pass rush hits harder and faster because offensive linemen are stiff. It backfired.
Yeah.
Darnold, on the other hand, accepted the reality of the environment. He embraced efficiency. He knew it was a day for short passes, heavy physical rushing with Aaron Jones, and just minimizing risk.
We saw a similar weather dynamic, but with way more fireworks, in the New Jersey Hitmen game against the DC Defenders. Freezing temps again, but New Jersey somehow explodes to win 44-25.
They looked completely unaffected by the cold.
Right. Justin Herbert puts on an absolute masterclass with a 5-touchdown day, 3 of those going to A.J. Brown.
Okay.
But the story for D.C. was rookie C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, a rough outing.
He threw for 302 yards, but it was rendered completely moot by 3 interceptions that New Jersey continuously turned into points. That turnover tax we mentioned earlier striking again.
Exactly.
But honestly, the cold weather wasn't the only thing freezing over in this game. The relationship between the two head coaches was absolutely ice cold.
Oh, the sideline dynamic absolutely became the defining narrative coming out of that matchup.
Let me set the scene for you if you didn't catch the end of this one. New Jersey is up by 16 points. There are only 8 seconds left in the game. It is completely over.
Game is totally decided.
Right. New Jersey has the ball on 4th down, and they are clearly just trying to run the clock out to get into the locker room where it's warm. But DC's coach, Jared Mayo, starts using his timeouts to stop the clock.
Which is a choice.
Yeah. So in retaliation, New Jersey's coach, Aaron Glenn, gets visibly frustrated, sends out his kicker, Jake Moody Little, and kicks a 22-yard field goal. The sources described it as trying to, quote, push the knife in deeper. They literally had to be separated after the game. So I have to ask, does a losing coach essentially waive the unwritten rules of sportsmanship when they burn timeouts down by 16 with 8 seconds left? My theory is that Glenn was entirely justified. He was just matching Mayo's pettiness.
It is a fascinating psychological study of late season football. The unwritten rules are always tested when playoff hopes are dying.
That's a good point.
For Jared Mayo and DC, they are sitting at 4-7. Their season is slipping away. Calling those timeouts is often a message meant for his own locker room, like, we do not quit, we fight until the final whistle, no matter the score.
Okay, I can see that.
But to the opposing sideline, it is viewed as unnecessarily exposing players to injury in a decided game in freezing conditions. When Glenn kicks that field goal, he's sending his own retaliatory message.
Right, like if you want to keep playing, we'll keep scoring.
Exactly. The weather strips the game plan down, but the high stakes of Week 13 strip the coach's patience down to absolute zero.
It is wild to see that level of frustration play out so publicly. But while those teams in the freezing cold were fighting a war of attrition against the elements, some teams playing in warmer or indoor environments were fighting a totally different kind of war.
Oh yeah, complete shootouts.
One of sheer offensive volume and sadly devastating physical injuries.
Yeah, when the weather isn't slowing players down, the speed of the game increases dramatically, and unfortunately, the physical toll on the human body scales right along with it.
Let's look at the San Antonio Gunslingers hosting the Tampa Bay Bandits. This wasn't a football game, it was a track meet. San Antonio wins it 48-30.
Just nonstop offense.
Jared Goff earns MVP honors and the Passing Player of the Week award with 378 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a 155.5 passer rating.
Which is just staggering.
For context, a 158.3 rating is mathematically perfect. So Goff posting a 155.5 means almost every single decision he made, every trajectory, every velocity choice was essentially flawless. They were averaging 14.5 yards per completion. Just haymaker after haymaker.
We definitely need to highlight the other players of the week here, too, because the individual performances were just spectacular.
Oh, for sure.
San Antonio's Kyron Williams took rushing honors with 119 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground, plus another through the air. And from that freezing New Jersey game we just talked about, A.J. Brown took receiving honors with 6 catches for 104 yards and 3 touchdowns.
But there is a massive dark shadow hanging over all of these incredible performances, and it's the injury report.
It's getting really grim.
It's like realizing you need a spare tire. You don't think about roster depth when you're cruising on the highway in week 1, but right now, these teams are hitting potholes at 80 miles an hour.
That's a very accurate analogy.
The physical cost of week 13 alone is staggering. Tua Tagovailoa is out for 3 weeks with turf toe, which is a massive blow to St. Louis.
Right.
Cooper Kupp is out for 3 weeks. Alexander Mattison for Philly is out for 4 weeks. And maybe the most devastating is Shaquille Barrett for Tampa Bay, who suffered a severe injury and is out for 20 weeks.
Which is just heartbreaking.
It really is. To see a guy like Goff put up a near-perfect rating amidst the absolute physical chaos of this league right now is awe-inspiring.
This raises an important question about the reality of professional football. Championship teams aren't just the ones who have the best starting 11 in September.
Right.
They are the organizations with the best backups in December. Depth is everything.
Wow.
You look at Tampa Bay. They won it all last year. Now they've lost 4 straight games. They are sitting at 3-8, and they are just crumbling under the weight of attrition, losing key defensive players like Barrett and Kalijah Kancey.
It's tough to watch.
It is. Roster depth is the silent variable that dictates late season football.
Which brings us to the ultimate reality for you, the listener. If you are tracking your favorite team, all of these stats, the upsets, the freezing weather, the coaching feuds, and the devastating injuries, they all funnel down into one single bottleneck, and that's the playoff race.
Yep, the most important part of the year.
Let's look at the landscape as it stands today. In the American Conference, the New Jersey Hitmen lead the East at 8-3, riding a 3-game win streak. And right now, Chicago, New Jersey, and St. Louis hold those top 3 playoff spots, followed by Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Cleveland.
And over in the National Conference, Birmingham still leads the South despite their Thanksgiving stumble, sitting at 8-3.
Right.
But the West Division is an absolute bloodbath right now. The San Diego Fleet and the Las Vegas Outlaws are tied atop the division, both holding 8-3 records. The current playoff spots belong to Birmingham, San Diego, and Las Vegas at the top, followed closely by Atlanta, Arizona, and Denver.
And you just have to feel a little sympathy for the Los Angeles Wildcats. Sitting at 2-9, they actually learned they were officially eliminated from playoff contention while sitting at home on their bye week.
Oh man, that's brutal.
Getting fired on your day off is a tough pill to swallow.
Seriously.
So we've covered the Thanksgiving earthquakes, the heavyweights, the sub-zero drama, and the massive injury toll reshaping the standings. We just want to make sure you are fully equipped and well-informed about every angle of Week 13 as we head into this final stretch.
And as we look ahead, considering everything we've synthesized today, the sheer number of star quarterbacks going down, the elite passers throwing crucial interceptions under heavy pressure, the weather neutralizing speed, I want to leave you with this to ponder.
Okay.
Will this year's WFL championship be won by the most brilliant offensive mind who can scheme around these devastating injuries? Or will it simply be won by the defense that can drag their opponent into the mud and force the ugliest game possible? Watch how these injured, emotionally volatile teams handle adversity next week. That will reveal the true contenders.
It all comes back to the frozen pond. We're all just waiting to see who finds the thin ice next and who manages to tiptoe their way to a championship. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.